Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another awesome filmmaker interview for the 23rd annual Garden State Film Festival. I'm your host, Paige Ryans, and a little bit about the festival. The Garden State Film Festival will run from March 27th through March 30th. There will be over 200 incredible films. The films are from 14 different countries. It'll be throughout 9 different venues in Asbury Park in Cranford, New Jersey, and it's just a great time all around. So today I am joined by Robert King from Unsaid. Robert, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Paige. I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
I'm on the West Coast,
So it's
uh,
early. It's early over there.
but I got two young kids that are up even earlier than this, so I'm getting into my day.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to be here.
They're like your alarm clock before your alarm clock.
They
So
are they're like they're rough.
good, good. Well, we're excited to have you here. We're excited to have you, here to talk about your film. So just kind of tell us like about your role with the film, and then we'll just get into like, the background of the film.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I am the writer and actor, one of the actors in the film. It's a personal story. It's kind of based on real events from my life. It was incredibly cathartic, I'll say,
Mhm.
to write the script, and then it took about 2.5 years to kind of bring the right team together, find our amazing director Monique Moses,
Mhm.
get our incredible producers lined up, Melissa Briner Sanders and Shannon Taylor, and then our DP Art Jacobson. To get that crew together, it took quite a long time, and but they were an amazing team, and I feel really happy with the project.
Awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like you had a great team, as a part of this project.
You really have to. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I've definitely tried it the other way early in my career, trying to be a one man band, because I'm an artiste and I'm going to do it all, and I
Oh
know best,
yeah.
and it just never works out the right way,
Mhm.
and it's not as fun. And
Yeah.
so when you have like a really great team that cares about the project and is super competent and know what they're doing, and they can all add different flavors to it and different strengths, it just makes the project so much more rewarding.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
always say it's like ingredients to a pot. Like you just have just different perspectives and ideas and it all just comes together. Makes a
Yeah.
really nice film pie.
Absolutely. Yeah. We made a really delicious film pie for sure.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So tell us about Unsaid.
So I'll give you the log line, which people
Mhm.
can kind of see. It's a biracial man finally gets the courage to tell his grandmother how her racist past affected him at her funeral. And it's like I said, it's based off my real life. My grandmother, my nana, who was just the most amazing woman to me in my life. Um, right before she passed away, I found out some things, about her past that affected me and my mom and my biological father. And she wasn't really um, she was against them being together. It was,
Mhm.
the early 80s, 1980s.
Mhm.
And, you know, because a lot of people were like that. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
justify it, but I've come to kind of understand where her mind was a little bit at that time. And that affected, that had a huge effect on my life, and my not meeting my biological father for
Mhm.
30 something years of my life. And so I struggled with that knowledge. And my grandmother was, in her 90s at that time, and I didn't really feel like I could have the conversation with her
Mhm.
before she passed away. It just didn't she didn't seem like it was right. I didn't want to put that stress on her, and so I kind of held that in, and that really, it was a drain on me. I think anytime you have some kind of trauma or hardship that you're just handling by yourself, keeping inside, it's not good. It's not
Mhm.
healthy. And so I kind of kept that in for a long time. And then finally, I realized I had to get it out, and how I deal with a lot of things is I write it down, and hopefully create some kind of art with it. And so I wrote this
Mhm.
script, and that was my way of kind of voicing my pain and my thoughts to my grandmother um, after she passed.
Absolutely. I think that it's a great to be able to outlet a great outlet to just be able to like pour that into something artistic like this. So I think that that's it was probably a good way of just like acknowledging those feelings that you might have had. So yeah, so to even just like talk about that little process of filmmaking, because I can imagine that there was probably a lot of emotions going into that.
There were so many
To
emotions.
say the least.
You know, one of the funniest moments for me, even before we got to production, was writing the script, because
Mhm,
it was so personal, and it was the words that I wanted to say that were left
mhm.
unsaid.
Pun
Um, yeah,
intended.
there we go. And my wife and I were going on a little like baby moon right before our second child was born, and we're like, we can get away for like 3 4 days. We have an older son that was staying with grandma and grandpa. We're like, great, it's just us before it gets
There.
too
Yeah.
wild, two boys. Um, and we got on a plane, and we were about to fly. Like, it was a night flight, pretty late, and everyone on the plane was sleeping. And I had written 2/3 of the script up to that point, and the last third was basically this monologue that my character delivers to my grandmother.
Mhm,
Um, and I knew I was like kind of putting it off, because like I need I'm not ready yet. And finally on
mhm,
this flight, I was like, all right, everyone's quiet. Like, I need to just get this done,
mhm.
get this script done. And I just remember how funny it was, because the whole plane's dark except for my little like overhead light, and
Yeah.
everyone's asleep. My wife's just passed out next to me, and I'm sitting there writing this monologue, which was all these emotions, all these thoughts, all these difficult expressions that I had just stuck inside me for a few years. And I'm finally getting out onto the page, and I'm sitting there writing, and it's so quiet, and I'm just like bawling, like loudly, just ugly crying, and I'm just like, you know, and I was I was so emotional, but I was also able to like pop outside myself and see what a ridiculous scene it must have looked like. And so I was also kind of like
Just
laughing.
like the next aisle over, it's like
Yeah, I hope there was some guy that just like woke up and was like, with his camera, just like, what is this weirdo doing? I hope it's somewhere out there in the world.
yeah, like on Twitter or something.
People are laughing at me, that don't even know, like, why is this guy
Yeah.
bawling on a plane? Um, but so that,
Mhm,
that was like a catharsis, really, to get that out onto the page finally. And once it was
mhm,
there, it didn't change too much, that monologue at least.
mhm,
And then once we got to production, that was another wave of dealing with it, because we had an incredible actress, Grady De Silva, who played my grandmother in the film, and she, and she was actually in the casket for the whole monologue, which, like, God bless her, to be just quiet while someone's just like crying and over you. She was it's a blessing for sure.
yeah, mhm,
um so there was a lot of emotion there delivering the monologue while we filmed. And then my director, Monique Moses, she's an amazing friend, but she's a great director, and she's a really talented writer as well. So she really helped me to craft the script a little bit too, and she helped to craft the performance. There was moments where, as an actor, like, different takes, you need different motivations. Sometimes you need little tweaks, little pokes and prods to help you stay on track and deliver the piece that you want. And there was times where I tease her now, but like, she'd come over and we're talking, and I'm a little calmer, and right before the take, she asked me something like, well, how do you think your grandmother felt when you did this? And I hadn't really thought about it from that perspective. And then another wave of emotion, and I was just like, and she's like, great, use that and go, and I'm like, well, you just like dropped a bomb on me, and then
yeah,
you hide behind the camera, and while I bawl my eyes out. But
yeah.
she was so helpful, and I I think it only helped the overall, project.
Yeah. I can just imagine that it was just a lot of emotions that went into it and just kind of like the process, but it was also like healing in a sense. Like I think it's definitely it's a way of just like I said, just like pouring into that and just pouring those, you know, all of that you weren't able to express,
Yeah,
all of those words unsaid. So,
absolutely. Yeah, it was incredible how after we finished and I got all of it out, I felt so at peace.
yeah.
And you know, I- it's someone asked me recently, like, how much of it was acting, how much of it was real, and I don't know. I don't know what the blend was. A lot of it was real, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But there's a moment when you watch the film where there's like this just sigh of relief towards the end of the film, and that was real. Like
Mhm.
I, that wasn't acting. That was like I think I'm good now.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think I'm done. At least I've like been able to grieve properly and say what I needed to say to my grandmother now, and it was, oh gosh, it
Yeah.
felt so good.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
it's also the sigh of just like, the moment on the plane, and then, the filmmaking process, and it's just like, like it's a
yeah,
wow, like
yeah,
it's a release,
yeah. I think any filmmaker that finishes probably has a very similar sigh of relief. Like
Yes.
there's
Yes.
a lot going on. It's
Yes.
anyone that can make anything, even like a 2-minute short or something like that, or up to like a huge feature or a documentary. Like it is a huge undertaking, and to
For
finally
sure.
have that one part of it finished at least. Um, Not to mention we had Bo Dixon was our incredible editor, for all his part, but like at least to have production done and now it's in the can, like
Yeah.
man, that felt so good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you like mentioned the dialogue. I was gonna say like the dialogue, even just from start to finish, was incredible. I feel like it was just very authentic and it was very like true. So, um, I can just imagine probably like that thought process of kind of just talk about that
Yeah,
dialogue process for you.
sure. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Mhm.
In addition to being a writer, I'm also an actor, and so I think that really helps. They one informs the other quite a bit. And so when I'm writing, I think being an actor and having that experience really helps to be like, is this is this ringing true? Is this in the right voice? Like I have an improv background as well, so I get a little schizophrenic when I write. So I'm really trying to inhabit both characters and like yeah, like get into it. You don't want to see me when I'm writing.
It's
I probably
okay.
look
You get each
uh,
perspective. You want to make sure.
mentally unwell. Which I also might be. So who knows? Um, that's for a different interview, I think. Um, yeah. So I think all actors can relate to reading a script and being like, this people don't talk like this. Like, and certain films are structured that way, so it's more stylistic. But I really wanted this to be just as real as possible, as raw as possible, and I hope I was able to bring a lot of comedy and levity to it as well. Because no one wants to just see this as melodrama of some dude weeping heavily over a, a casket. But
Mhm.
how I deal with things, even like hard dramatic things, is through humor, through levity. Like even when things, that's why people um make jokes at funerals because you need that release a little bit.
Lighten the
You can't
mood a
just,
little bit.
yeah, like no one's just dark all the time,
Yeah.
like this isn't some like emo film. This is, it's trying to be real, and people are they make jokes. They try to make people feel better through humor, and that's why I tried to add a little bit of that into the film. So hopefully it shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also just like when you have a theme of like letting go and healing and everything like that, I think the dialogue is important. Um and just crafting like it as authentic as you can. And I know since it was from like drawn from your experience, that was probably helpful in a way. I know the experience wasn't great, but like I know it probably supported and it was helpful in that process of making the dialogue.
Well, it's funny, it's all based on my kind of my life, but none of what is on screen happened. Uh, because when in real life, I wasn't ready to talk to my grandmother, and I
Mhm.
was very standoffish a little bit. And at her funeral, I didn't go up to the casket. I just had so many unresolved feelings and emotions. I just sat back, and you know, everything that happens, everything that I wrote was kind of like there's Edgar Montplaisir plays my best friend in the film. He plays one voice on my shoulder a little bit that's kind of like, get over it, like move on
Mhm.
with your life. And then Caitlin McGee, who plays my wife in the film, is more of the like, hey, I'm pushing you towards resolution. Um, and they're kind of both sides of what was in my head at the time. And so everything I wrote was kind of revisionist history. Like I wish it had happened this way,
Yeah.
you know. So that was my way to kind of fix it in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that even it just shows just both perspectives of just wanting, wishing that you did say something, and then also not saying something. I think both ways are real, So I feel
Sure.
like you did a great job with portraying both of them. So, because I think that that's as honest as it really gets. There are two ways of healing, and healing isn't linear either. Letting
Mm,
go isn't linear. So this is like a
that's
therapy
a really
session. I
good
feel like.
line. I have to write that down. Feeling isn't
Right,
linear.
right.
That's good. That's real. That's true. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's really great. And even just with like the incorporation of like the lighting and the sound, the warm lighting, and I think the use of like the scoring and the music, like kind of talk about your approach to including those two to match the tone of the film.
Yeah. Our amazing DP cinematographer, Art Jacobson, we found this incredible church at the last minute. One of our locations that we thought we had, a church in Los Angeles, kind of fell through like a few weeks out. And it was kind of one of those moments when you're, indie film, you don't have a huge budget, and you need everything to just kind of fall into place
Mhm,
magically. And
mhm,
it was like everyone was panicking, and I kind of was at home after I found out, and I was like, I'm going to churches. Like I looked up a list of churches in my area, and I was like,
mhm,
I'm going right,
mhm.
right away. I emailed a bunch of people, but I also just went in person. I was like, you're less likely to say no if I'm like, this is a personal story about my grandma, please, let me have your church.
Yeah.
And the First Methodist German Church of Glendale, give them a shout out because they were such a blessing, and they were so inviting, and they once told them the story, and they knew we were indie on an indie budget, and they really worked with us, and they really made it possible for us to shoot there. And it's such a beautiful church. Like I really wanted it was the idea was based on my grandmother's church in Rahway, New Jersey. Shout out New Jersey. GSFF, what's up? And I wanted to get those like I can remember those stained glass windows, and I was like, we have to have that in this film.
Mhm,
And the church that we use has just beautiful stained glass windows, and our DP was really able to capture that, and like he made sure we took advantage of that beautiful lighting that comes in from outside, and it it was gorgeous. And I'm just so I'm very happy with the film. I'm really
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good. You should be like it all came together, and it really just shows like how much work went into it, how much thought, authenticity, and you had a great team with you, to help you craft this really, really great, incredible film.
Thank you.
Um, you're welcome. So will you be joining us at the festival this year?
I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. I'm from East
Awesome.
Brunswick. My wife is from New Jersey. My
Jersey
mom already
born.
bought her tickets. I mean, she's incredible. She's like, "Where is it? When is it? Just give me I got it." I didn't give her the information for the screening. I was like, "Yeah, I think it's on the 29th." I hadn't looked it up yet, and then like 5 minutes later, she texted me like, "Got my tickets," and she's
It's like I got it.
inviting. I'm pretty sure she's gonna like rent out like a party bus and
Yeah,
uh, of
as
people.
she should.
Yeah, as you know, as moms do, super supportive, and so many friends and family that have been supportive of this and me over my career. Um, I can't thank them enough, and I know that they're going to kind of flood to the screening. But yeah, and I'm excited too. Like, anytime I can get to go home, I live in Los Angeles now, so anytime I can get to come back to New Jersey and see family and friends, um, it's really cool. So I'm excited to be there.
Absolutely. We're excited to have you. We're excited to have you here. So, again, you can see Unsaid on Saturday, March 29th at the Jersey Shore Art Center. It'll be Block 30, and you can see it between 2:30 and 4:45 p.m. Um, Thanks you for being here. This was a great conversation. Once again, the 23rd annual Garden State Film Festival right here in New Jersey, March 27th through the 30th. You can get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. Robert, thanks again for being here. Thanks again for just you know, sharing your film with us, really. So
Paige, it's an absolute honor to be a part of GSFF this year. The 23rd year?
23rd, can you believe?
That's
Year 23.
incredible. 200 films, amazing. Yeah,
Amazing.
thank you for including Unsaid. Our team is very proud of our film, and we can't wait to show it. And thank you for the chat.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you at the festival. Congratulations again. So
Thanks, Paige.
you're welcome. Take care.